Well, we are once again in Cape Girardeau County, Missouri, and there is so much to see here. It's taking us multiple episodes, so make sure you hang around. We have a lot left to learn, and we're learning a lot, so I mean that's a big deal. So we do have a lot left to learn, and I hope that you stay with us as we continue through Cape Girardeau County, Missouri. Cape Girardeau. We're in Cape Girardeau County, in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, founded as an Indian trading post in 1793 by French-Canadian Louis Lormier, probably named for Girardeau, a trader at Cape Rock. In 1795, Lorimier became commandant of Cape Girardeau district, most American of the 5 Spanish districts, later one of Missouri's first 5 counties. Germans from the states also settled here. Shawnee and Delaware Indians were given Spanish land grants nearby to act as a buffer against the Osages. At time of American occupation in 1804, the district was third in population of the 5 districts, yet had no white village. Lorimier laid out the town of Cape Girardeau, 1806, to be the seat of government. Delay in honoring his Spanish land grant halted growth. The county seat was then moved 10 miles to Jackson in 1814. Established there were a U.S. land office in 1818, a newspaper, Missouri Herald, in 1819, an academy in 1820, and state's first long-distance telephone line in 1877. Near Jackson were organized a German Reformed Church in 1803, Bethel Baptist and McKendree Methodist churches in 1806. McKendree Methodist Chapel in 1819 is oldest Protestant building in Missouri. See the other side. Okay. Cape Girardeau grew rapidly after the Lormier land grant was confirmed, 1836. Here were established St. Vincent's College in 1843, Washington Female Seminary in 1849, and the Southwest Missouri State College in 1873. The college has a notable museum. Union forces occupied the town from 1861 to 1863 and built defense forts A, B, C, and D. In 1863, the Federals under McNeil repulsed a Confederate attack under command of Marmaduke. Among well-marked historic sites in town is Fort D. In Lormier Cemetery are graves of the town founder Louis Lorimier, U.S. Senator Alexander Buckner, and notable builder of railroads and Missouri historian Louis Houck. The town benefits from a large cement plant, Federal River Improvement Program, and the Little River Drainage Project. The bridge across the Mississippi was dedicated in 1928. Lovely 10-mile garden connects county seat Jackson with Cape Girardeau. El Camino Real, or King's Highway, 1789, served Cape Girardeau in the early days. There's a big bush here in front of this marker, so I'm going to do my best to read it all. 1904 to 1954, 50 years of achievement. This tablet is dedicated to George and Fred Naeter, founders and publishers of the Southeast Missourian, as a grateful tribute to their tireless, unselfish, and devoted efforts to make ours a better and more beautiful community. Erected in 1954, a testimonial of appreciation by the citizens of Cape Girardeau.
We're here outside of Cape Girardeau for the Veterans Memorial, and this is dedicated to the veterans of the 140th Infantry Regiment. And this says the history of the 140th Infantry Regiment. The regiment can trace its heritage back to the 6th Missouri Infantry that fought in the Civil War on the side of the South. Missouri was a border state during that conflict. Initially, the regiment was comprised of men from southeast Missouri. The headquarters was in Cape Girardeau. Later, the regiment served in the Spanish-American War and was officially placed on active duty in the U.S. Army on August 5, 1917. The regiment saw combat in Alaska, Lorraine, and Meuse-Argonne in France during World War I. During World War II, the unit became part of the 35th Infantry Division. It was fortunate to not serve in any overseas campaigns. Instead, it was assigned to coastal security duties on the West Coast. Upon deactivation from federal status, the regiment again became the 140th Infantry Regiment, Missouri Army National Guard, the premier unit within the state. The regiment was deactivated in 1963, and with the casing of its colors became part of southeast Missouri's history. On the wall here with all the names is a little plaque in honored memory of Pfc Richard Wilson, the 186th Airborne Infantry, 11th Division U.S. Army, 1931 to 1950, posthumously awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, the nation's highest award, for gallantry and service beyond the call of duty, and to all who made the supreme sacrifice and gave their lives in Korea and former wars, that this flag may ever fly in honor and peace. Here outside Cape Girardeau is a nice war memorial. Lots of names on the walls from the various armed forces. And this marker is called the Freedom Rock. It is the 2nd Missouri Freedom Rock by Ray Bubba Sorensen II. And then there's several images of various people: General Roscoe Robinson Jr., Captain Stephen W. Thompson, General Seth J. McKee, Vice Admiral Arthur L. Willard, and Major General John V. Cox.
Old Lormier Cemetery, Cape Girardeau's oldest shrine. The earliest inscription is 1808. In this old city cemetery, gift of Don Louis Lormier, lie pioneers, founders, builders, and defenders of our country. That is a really nice marker. I like how that's phrased. All right, we are in Cape Girardeau County, in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And we are here for this historical church. All right, this is the St. James African Methodist Episcopal Church. It was constructed in 1875 under the leadership of Reverend Spotswood Rice. Rice was apparently born into slavery in Virginia in 1819 and later moved by his owner to Glasgow in Howard County, Missouri. Rice was valued for his exceptional skills in the production of finished tobacco, creating great wealth for his owner. During the Civil War, when he was approximately 40 years of age, Rice left his master and joined the Union Army as a member of the United States Colored Infantry. During his service, Rice boldly wrote 2 compelling letters to seek the freedom of his daughters. A natural leader, Rice followed God's call to minister to the newly freed people. Rice came to St. James in 1874 and acted quickly to build a new brick church. St. James School Superintendent W.R. Kinney wrote that in 7 weeks of Rice assuming the pastorate of St. James, we have built a new place of worship, not only an honor to the cause and a credit to our people, but an ornament to the city. This is a legacy that continues to this day. Reverend Rice went on to establish AME churches across western United States until his death in 1907. He pastored churches in Missouri, New Mexico, Kansas, New Mexico, Colorado, and Wyoming. And you can look up on the internet this information and learn more about him. And this is a photo of the congregation when the church was built, what I assume. And here's a more contemporary photo. The African Methodist Episcopal Church, AME Church, is a predominantly African American Methodist denomination based in the United States. They were the first independent Protestant denomination founded by African American people and the first major religious denomination that developed due to racial discrimination rather than theological differences. The mission of the AME Church is to minister to the social, spiritual, and physical development of all people. The church seeks to save the lost, serve the needy, and encourage church members to become involved in all aspects of Christian education. The AME Church was founded by Reverend Richard Allen in Philadelphia in 1816, and they began with 8 clergy and 5 churches and grew rapidly to 20,000 members in 1856 and 207,000 in 1876. During this period of rapid growth, St. James AME was established in Cape Girardeau. In the year of the Emancipation Proclamation, 1863, a group of African American residents organized in the Baptist Church on Lormier Street. They soon had 115 members and a desire for their own church. St. James was the answer to their prayers. St. James AME will commemorate its 155th anniversary in 2018. The congregation continues to address the dreams and goals of its founders. St. James has played a vital role in furthering the education of the African American community and has been a critical refuge when the Great River goes on a rampage. St. James has provided an important meeting place for the Black community. Here, in addition to worship functions, choirs, clubs, funerals, dinners, plays, pageants, and holidays, events have historically enabled African Americans to come together in a comfortable and safe environment. St. James AME Church and congregation are among the oldest in Missouri. Built in 1875 and expanded in 1892 and 1926, St. James would be architecturally familiar to its founders and early members. As an active, vibrant congregation, St. James remains loyal to its original mission through ministries to the homeless and others in times of crisis. As Reverend Rice said, the congregation is an honor to the cause and a credit to our people. Their motto is God our Father, Christ our Redeemer, Holy Spirit our Comforter, humankind our family. So I can get you a little bit better picture of the church. All right, I am here at the end of Themis Street, looking up this way to what is the City Hall building. Now was a courthouse. Who knows, it might still be the county courthouse. But I wanted to look at this marker here. It is Grant in southeast Missouri. Over here it says, a fortified city. 4 earthen forts and allied entrenchments were nearing completion on October 9, 1861, when General Ulysses S. Grant visited Cape Girardeau on an inspection tour. Cape Girardeau occupies the first high ground that overlooks the Mississippi River north of its confluence with the Ohio River. As a result, Union authorities deemed it necessary to fortify the city against attack by land or water. In the first 4 months of the Civil War, Cape Girardeau was one of the most fortified cities in the Western Theater. And then you can see the map as I go down. The construction of Cape's forts was supervised by a young Illinois lieutenant, John Wesley Powell. Powell would lose his right arm at the Battle of Shiloh in 1862, but he survived the war to lead the expedition that explored the Grand Canyon in 1869. Powell became the second and most influential director of the U.S. Geological Survey. Remains of one of these forts are still intact in the city's Fort D Park, located east of Sprigg Street on Locust, south of the Shawnee Parkway. All right. Southeast Missouri was where Ulysses S. Grant, the nation's 18th president, began his rise to prominence as a soldier. This story began in mid-August 1861 at Ironton, Missouri, 70 miles west of Cape Girardeau via Missouri Highway 72. Grant arrived in the Cape on August 30th, 1861, a newly commissioned brigadier general of volunteers commanding the Union District of Southeast Missouri. It was here that General Grant launched his historic campaign to control the Mississippi River. After serving in Ironton, where he received his commission, and briefly serving in Jefferson City, Grant was summoned to Army headquarters in St. Louis on August 28, 1861. Historians disagree still on the circumstances. According to one eyewitness, Grant was ordered to report to St. Louis for reassignment and was discovered waiting in the basement during a senior staff meeting. According to this version, it so happened that Union Major General John C. Fremont and staff were discussing candidates to lead an offensive from southeast Missouri. Perhaps Grant was selected to fill this post because Fremont realized he was the most senior of the new Illinois brigadiers. After assembling a staff, General Grant boarded a steamboat in St. Louis on August 30, 1861, and arrived that evening to take command in Cape Girardeau. He took lodging, most likely in the St. Charles Hotel, which stood at the southwest corner of Themis and Main Streets, a half block east of where we are standing now. One of Grant's first acts was to order Union regiments stationed in the interior at Ironton to march to meet him in Cape to prepare for offensive operations. In the next days, those regiments, among them the 17th and 24th Illinois Regiments and the 7th Iowa, marched to meet Grant. The arrival of these troops on September 2nd was the occasion for a dispute between Grant and General Benjamin Prentiss of Illinois. Grant moved his headquarters to Cairo, Illinois on September 4th, 1861. Then on the evening of September 5th, Grant engineered a movement upon Paducah, Kentucky, an immediate response to the decision by the Confederate Army to enter Kentucky despite that state's declared neutrality in the early months of the Civil War. On the next day, only a week after taking command in Cape Girardeau, Grant, with a small force, occupied the city of Paducah. Grant returned to Cape Girardeau on September 7, 1861, to see to the disposition of troops that were still stationed there. Ulysses S. Grant's last campaign in southeast Missouri was launched from Cairo on November 7, 1861. After dispatching Union troops to Sikeston in Scott County and Bloomfield in Stoddard County, Grant attacked Belmont, Missouri in Mississippi County on November 7th, the first battle of the Civil War in which the future lieutenant general commanded troops in the field. He would move from Cairo to Fort Donelson, Tennessee in January 1862, then on to Shiloh and into the pages of history. A question of rank. Ulysses Grant is well known to most Americans. Benjamin Mayberry Prentiss of Quincy, Illinois is not. Born in Virginia in 1819, Prentiss moved west as a young man, then settled in Quincy early in the 1840s. A lawyer active as an officer of the Illinois militia and veteran of the Mexican War, Prentiss entered politics before the outbreak of the Civil War. Prentiss and Grant were two of 12 men whose nominations to the rank of Brigadier General of Volunteers were confirmed by the U.S. Senate on August 7, 1861. Because Ulysses Grant had served as an officer in the regular army, his seniority was superior. He ranked Prentiss. When Prentiss received Grant at Ironton in August, Prentiss asserted that he was the senior brigadier. On September 2, 1861, Prentiss entered Cape Girardeau, expecting that he would command the forces gathering here. At the same time, Ulysses Grant mounted his horse near the St. Charles Hotel, heading to Jackson, where he expected to meet Prentiss's regiments. Grant described this scene in his memoirs. As I turned the first corner of a street after starting, I saw a column of cavalry passing the next street in front of me. I turned and rode around the block to the other way as to meet the head of the column. It was at or near this location on Spanish Street that Grant reached the head at the southbound cavalry column. General Prentiss wrote in this column, "An argument over rank ensued, and Grant ordered Prentiss to return to his troops in Jackson. Prentiss placed himself under arrest so he could plead his case in St. Louis. Grant's authority and his orders were upheld. 7 months later, it was Prentiss who fought valiantly in the Hornet's Nest at the Battle of Shiloh, providing vital protection for Grant's defensive line." The St. Charles Hotel was once considered to be one of Cape Girardeau's greatest landmarks. Located at the southwest corner of Themis and Main Streets, the hotel opened its doors in January 1861 and soon after presumably hosted its most famous guest. The old building was demolished in the 1960s. All right, we are here at the corner, intersection of William and Spanish Street, at the edge of the parking lot for the old St. Vincent's Catholic Church. And right here where this parking lot is the site that stood the home of Don Luis Lormier, first commandant of the Spanish military post. It was established here in 1783. And here on the corner of Williams and Spanish Avenue, in the parking lot of the old St. Vincent's Catholic Church, is a marker for El Camino Real, which is a road from New Madrid, Cape Girardeau, St. Genevieve, and St. Louis. That was a road that was traveled by everybody. All right, we are here for this marker on this church. Right down here on the waterfront is a marker for Old St. Vincent's Church from 1838 to 1982. On this site in 1833, Father John Timon, a Vincentian priest, celebrated Mass in a warehouse of Don Luis Lormier. The first St. Vincent's Church, constructed in 1838, was destroyed by a tornado in 1850. Rebuilt a year later, the foundation of the present English Gothic church is stone from the original building. Declared a chapel of ease in 1977, Old St. Vincent's Church was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1982 and has remained a place of worship since Father Timon came to this spot in 1833. I just wanted to get a current visual of the church. Old St. Vincent's Catholic Church. And that's another episode of Historical Markers in Cape Girardeau County, Missouri. Stay with us. We have more coming in this county.